Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. Let's start our video with the story in which our OP has finally reached her breaking point with her entitled brother. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. Entitled brother informed me that he would be taking my dog for 3 days without my permission. For those of you who aren't familiar with my stories, I, 31-year-old female, have a man-child entitled brother, 26-year-old male, who lives in the house I co-own with my mom. My mom has told him he has until May 31st to move out. I've been anxiously waiting for him to leave, doing my best to bide my time, but I've finally reached the end of my rope, and for something that I'm not sure is the straw or the log that broke the camel's back. Last night, while I was in bed, Entitled Bro informed me he would be taking my dog, Spot, for 3 days on some fishing trip. I told him there's no way he could do that. He said he wasn't asking, he was telling me. He said he's my dog too, and that he's entitled to take him whenever he pleases. Here's the thing, though. 9 years ago, Entitled Brother demanded a dog. I begged my mom not to. He had one previously, but he neglected it, and my mom ended up rehoming it, for which he never let her hear the end of. But of course she caved, and the same problem persisted. Entitled Bro never cared for Spot. I ended up taking over his care, paid for his vet bills, fed him, took him to get groomed, etc. Things came to a head when we had to move in with family members, and they said we were not allowed to bring a dog. Entitled Bro didn't do anything to find Spot a new home. It was my problem. I found him a foster home where I visited him every day after my college classes ended, and was able to get him back 2 years later when we finally had a place to live in. Additionally, when I moved out of my house for a year, Spot went with me. Spot sleeps with me every night and has my name on all of his records. He's now 10 and has arthritis. He takes meds for his hips and his stomach and needs frequent bathroom breaks. Oh, and he hates the water. So when Little Bro said he wasn't asking me, he was telling me, I knew that Spot would be miserable and possibly in pain that whole trip. He hadn't asked or even mentioned taking Spot before, so he's due for a refill on his pills tomorrow. Had I known, I would have gotten the refill sooner. I tried telling him Spot needs a lot of care, and he said, yeah, so just give me everything he needs. And I was so irritated. You wait until the night before to tell me this? Then he said something that made my blood run cold. I could have just taken him and let you panic, but I was being nice telling you ahead of time. That did it. I don't know why, but every alarm bell went off in my head. I grabbed my purse, put on my slippers, and told Spot to get in the car. I drove to my fiance's house and slept here last night. I was going to move in to handle fiance's house this summer, but now I'm asking myself why the hell I'm waiting. My mom is staying out of it right now, and I'm glad because I genuinely don't care what she has to say. I know she doesn't want me to go, but I just can't take Entitled Bro's little power trips. He can do whatever he wants to the house, punching holes in the walls, kicking the appliances, calling the house a dump. But I draw the line at him taking my dog without my permission. That's my baby. And I'm not going to just stand by while he does whatever he wants with my pet when I explicitly told him no, something that he rarely hears. Wow. I'm glad that you took the dog with you to your fiance's house. I hope your brother gets the karma he deserves. And our second story. Aspiring actor with no previous experience asks for my help in getting a role. Okay, so I have a friend who's an aspiring actor. Like all aspiring actors, he's broke. He hasn't been in any productions, theater, short films, feature films, not even commercials. He's literally zero real-life experience in front of a camera outside of whatever they did in uni. Meanwhile, I've never studied acting, yet I have real-life experience in front of a camera and even behind it. Self-taught. When I first began, no one would give me auditions because I had no education or experience, so I made my own short film and monologues to get me that experience. I started getting auditions and gigs, starting with unpaid and then eventually getting paid for it. Fast forward 3 years after I began acting, I met people who knew people and my monologues were put in the eye of important people. I get called in and offered a role in a popular TV series that's on Netflix. I obviously accept in a heartbeat. It's got a sad ending. My friend catches wind of this and asks if I can get him an audition. I take it up with the CD, and he said once he gets some experience, he'll get an audition. I tell my friend that, and he says, why can't I just get an audition there? Probably because there's people out there with more experience dying for this opportunity. But okay, we'll move on. I have friends who run a small filming company, and they're casting for an unpaid role in a short film. I asked them if my friend can audition for it, and they said sure. I call him to tell him the great news, and this is our exchange. Me: hey man, I got good news. I got you an audition in a short film, 10 to 15 minutes runtime, and it's an interesting script. It's unpaid, but all you need is some experience before you can audition for TLK. CB: nah, I'm good. Me: why? CB: it's unpaid. Why would I work for free? Me: to get much needed experience with a credible company? CB: I don't work for free. Me: in acting, you need to start off with unpaid work. CB: why can't you get me the audition at TLK? Me: because you don't have any experience. CB: just tell him I'm a great actor. Me: you have no experience. CB: whatever, bro. Couple weeks go past and he calls me. CB: when's my audition for TLK? Me: you don't have one. CB: what do you mean I don't have one? Me: I told you, get experience, then you get the audition. CB: I already told my family that I got the role. Me: why would you do that? CB: because you said you can get me an audition. Me: yes, if you have experience. And even with experience, the most I could get you is a role. CB: what the F? Okay, I'll do the stupid short film. Me: they've already got a lead, too late. CB: then get me another audition. Me: no. Later, bro, I'm busy. Didn't speak to him for over a year. Last I know, he's working at a bottle shop. I feel like this falls under here because every aspiring actor can't be choosy with pay when you first start out. He played himself in the end. And our last story. My neighbor decided to demolish my shed. I moved into my property a little over a year ago, and there's an alleyway beside the house that gives access to a few of the neighbors on my row. This alleyway is listed under our property deeds as part of our land. Shortly after moving in, we noticed that someone had dug up the alleyway before we arrived and filled it back in. When we spoke to the neighbors next door, they told us that a different neighbor, one living at the back of our property, had dug it up, claiming he had permission to do so, although no one had ever seen any proof. He apparently told them that a service provider had given him the green light to install some cables. However, I've since learned that no provider can grant permission to put cables on someone else's property without the owner's consent, and the previous owner didn't sign anything giving him permission. Fast forward to today. I was outside in my garden when this same neighbor called me over, peeking over his fence from the top of a ladder. Without any preamble, he demanded that I move my shed, claiming it was on his land. According to him, his property extends 2 feet beyond the 6-foot fence he put up. Now that fence has been standing for over 15 years, and my shed has been up for 6 months on my side of the fence, mind you, and no one has said a word about it until now. I decided to bring up the alleyway situation since I'd been meaning to for a while. I asked him, who gave you permission to dig up my alleyway? He replied, solicitors. And when I pressed him about what was under there, he simply said, a pipe? I told him that there's no mention of this work or any pipe on my documents, and I made it clear that I plan to find out exactly what's buried there and have it removed. That's when he got aggressive, saying that if I dared touch the pipe, he would smash up my shed. Now, let me be clear. There had been no issue with the shed for the past 6 months. This is the first time we've ever spoken, and he was incredibly rude and threatening, which has left me completely shocked. We live in what's supposed to be a nice, peaceful area where everyone gets along. When we moved in, the bottom of the garden was a complete mess and clearly hadn't been touched for years. We cleaned it up, made it look nice, and put up the shed for our tools. Not a word was said until now. Even if it turns out that the land under the shed is technically his, he's had that 6-foot fence up for over 15 years and has no access to our alleyway, which is only meant for the 4 neighbors on our row. I don't even understand what he thinks moving the shed 2 feet forward is going to accomplish. But I'm not backing down from this. If he does try to damage the shed, I won't hesitate to call the police. Update 1. I pressed him more about the alleyway and the supposed pipe, and that's when he got defensive. It was clear he wasn't expecting me to bring it up and got cagey when I told him the alleyway's on my land, not communal property. He wouldn't even tell me what's actually in the pipe, which makes me think there's more going on than he's letting on. When I asked if there would be any legal repercussions if I removed the pipe, he didn't mention anything legal, just kept making those empty threats about smashing my shed. Something is definitely buried down there that he's hoping everyone has forgotten about. Update 2. It happened. Jerk actually tried to make good on his threats and came onto my property while I was at work. He attempted to demolish my shed, pulling down parts of the roofing and tearing away the panels. My neighbor saw him and immediately called me, and I rushed home to find the damage. Fortunately, I had installed security cameras after our previous encounter and caught everything on video. He was there, clear as day, with tools in hand, trying to destroy the shed. I didn't hesitate. I went straight to the police and filed a report. I also handed over all the footage to my lawyer. The next step was court, and let me tell you, the guy tried every excuse in the book, claiming the land was his and that he was just removing an illegal structure. But the video evidence spoke louder than his lies. In the end, the judge ruled in my favor. Additionally, I got a court order preventing him from setting foot on my property again, and if he tries anything in the future, it's going to land him in even hotter water. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.